Well, that's enough of this nonsense. I'm absolutely fed up with brushing blocks. I did get some more loot though, including more spawn eggs, but I will end up snapping and murdering half of my village if I do continue brushing. So for now, let's return back to our idiots. I have analysed the cave tablets that we got out there, and the yellow ones have unlocked the primordial caves, with the blue ones unlocking the abyssal chasm. So those are two new locations for us to go visit at another point. For today, we are still on a bee hunt, and we will require our sniffer friend here to help us find some of these bees. Before we delve more into our bee nonsense, what are our idiots currently getting up to? We are upgrading the university to level 2, which is a big upgrade and one that I can't be bothered waiting on because I have some more schematics for them to make instead. I have 2 schematics to place down actually. This first one here is what I'm calling a sniffer pod, which is basically just an overglorified greenhouse for our sniffers. And the second schematic I have is a home for our baby leviathan, Plum, which is basically a large spherical glass aquarium, and a nicely decorated one at that. So what we're going to do is place down Plum's new home just at the back here, and this will also act as a intersection which will allow us to further expand out in this direction. As for the sniffer pod, well, I think we'll just set it in roughly around here. And I do want the sniffer pod to be top priority there, so let's cancel the university upgrade at the moment. See if the builder then picks that up, which indeed she has, so she will go construct this next. Then I think we will get her constructing Plum's new home, and that just leaves her own level 4 upgrade to last, which is important to do, but not as important as this. And what we're doing is really unimportant. Well, while she gets on with that, I think we are going to turn our attentions to our own upgrades, in which I mean crafting our own mecha suit. After we get some parts in for it, we are now starting to stockpile quite a lot of our polonium pellets, but in order for us to fully upgrade our mecha suit, we are going to require a lot more than what we have. The pellet issue at the moment is being held up by the lack of nuclear waste coming out of the reactor, and we are getting a lack of nuclear waste from the reactor because of its low burn rate. And it has a low burn rate because we don't have enough coolant going into it. But I think I may have a solution to that. Basically, we are going to take the condensed water that is produced from our turbine and pump it straight back in to the reactor. I really hope I'm not about to screw things up here, but let's remove the casing there and replace it with another port. Then just simply hook all of that up into it. Seems to look okay. Now, can I set this burn rate to say 10? And will the coolant levels fall? Yes, they do. Okay, so maybe we're not producing enough water up there yet. Although in saying that, the steam inside of it is sure getting pretty full. Oh, and we've also maxed out on the power that can be stored within it. Right, okay, that might be an issue. Although I think I do have a solution for it. We need to make ourselves an induction matrix, which if I recall looks something like this. I did see that message up there from Brian, but hopefully this is the matrix now complete. And what I think we will do is stick on a plug into this, so that should start to fill up with power. Also, this thing has a huge power storage capacity, which should start draining the power within the turbine here. Yes, the steam is dissipating and the fans were spinning there for a moment. We have another burn rate of 10 going on at the moment, and the fans on top are spinning not too bad. The coolant inside doesn't seem to be falling. No, we are pretty stable actually, and the solar neutron activator is full of nuclear waste at the moment, but not producing polonium because some idiot just blocked the sunlight from it. Right, we are going to need to rip that down and place it elsewhere, but good, the principle works at least. I think to be safe, I'm just going to turn this off at the moment. I don't want this waste building up too much. Yes, I do see you over there, Vigil. Hopefully you won't see me though. That's the matrix set up once again, so let's turn the reactor back on. The cooling levels still seem to be pretty steady, and hopefully we are getting the waste out. Yes, we are indeed, and it's being converted into polonium at a pretty fast rate. So we are really going to start getting these pellets out now. That is a lot of spore nastiness just spawned in the background there. Really dangerously close to the reactor, I may add. I may need to employ some iron golems to help us out here. Well, the reactor and turbine are certainly working as intended. I am tempted to increase the burn rate. What about a burn rate of 20? How will that affect the coolant rate? It's not really affecting things as much as I thought, and we are getting plenty of nuclear waste out, and the polonium is certainly starting to flow. In fact, the pellets are also starting to stack up pretty nicely. Look at those little turbine fans spin. Well, that should certainly be enough polonium pellets then to make up our mecha suit. Indeed it was. Although to get the most out of this suit, we will need to install some of these upgrading units, such as the Vision Enhancement Unit, which unfortunately will use some polonium pellets to make, but we should be creating them at some rate now. Actually, quite a lot of these units are going to require some pellets. This is going to get rather expensive. And that's a few of them here for us to play with, so let's start installing them. That's the suit parts, now upgraded and partially charged. So let's get these bad boys on. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. And I believe we do have a solar recharging unit within our helmet, so we should be charging up, I think, in the sunlight. The running speed sure is an increase, as is the jump rate. Holy crap. We do have a jetpack within this, but we need to submerge ourselves first of all, just so that it starts slowly filling up with hydrogen, and we should be able to turn on night vision within it. Brilliant. Not gonna lie, I am feeling slightly badass now. Although what the hell is going on with the shadow? Wait, we're invisible. We are just a floating backpack. What the hell? If I take off the helmet at the moment. Okay, now we're just a disembodied head. A disembodied head with a katana and a dream. And I see that we are now 85% complete with the sniffer pod. This sure is taking its time. Just a few more clear glass blocks to go and it will be complete, however. So now all I need to worry about is getting the sniffer over into the pod, which I do have a plan in how we can do that. So what we're going to use are some warp plates, in which this should be connected to the main base, and we're just simply going to lead this happy little idiot over onto it. Good, so he's now in his own pod, and eventually he should get on with his own thing here and dig us up one of these bees. Let's get down a few more sniffer eggs then and let them hatch. Oh, I think we might be digging up something then. Well, it's not quite what we want, but it's a start. On the topic of bees, however, I do require a few regular ones, and these little chaps here will just simply do. And excellent, quite a lot of them actually. Even better. This is, sadly, the result of all of the tornadoes that we've been having, the absolute desolation of our forests. At least it does make finding these bees a bit easier. Right, what we are going to do next is just put down the bee nest and release the bees. I do want quite a lot of them here, so let's start breeding them together. And we are now going to upgrade the bees, so let's turn them into collectors. All we need to do is stick some hoppers onto the back of these bees, and that will be an easy way for us to start picking up anything that these sniffers dig up. Well, this is going to take some time for these sniffers to hatch, then grow up and be actually useful, so time jump incoming. We got in yet another prepare message from Brian and Dave. I think that's 5 or 6 of them now. Mob griefing is on, so if you did want to send any calamities our way, we'll be ready. My disembodied floating head will certainly be ready. Bite them to death. Anyway, sniffers and magical bee eggs, that's what we're continuing on with. Some of the sniffers have grown up and we have been able to breed them, so we have some baby sniffers. And I think we have collected a few items here, including the sussy bee egg. Yep, here we go again. So let's spawn in the sussy bee, and this little chap does have a specific quality which we will take advantage of. It will turn sand and gravel into suspicious sand and gravel. Well, has a chance to turn them into suspicious blocks. So basically the sussy bee would have been nice to have before we found the amber bee, because we could have set them up within a warm or cold biome and just let them transform some of these blocks into suspicious blocks, which would have made it easier for us to find our amber bees. But we actually got pretty lucky with the amber bee, and we did find a spawn egg for it. I think the amber bee is going to try put the sniffer here into some amber at the moment. That's exactly what has happened to this sniffer here. It is encased in amber at the moment, which would be useful to us if we had another type of bee. And that is the last remaining bee that we're after here, the wannabe. Unfortunately, we can't capture a wannabe within the wild. We have to make a wannabe spawn egg, which is pretty difficult to make actually, because we're going to require in spawn eggs from other bees in order to make it, alongside some ancient city materials. But the wannabe acts in conjunction with the amber bee, so the amber bee will coat something in amber, pretty much keeping it in stasis, and the wannabe will come along and remove drops from the encased mob. Basically, just an easy mob farm, but just a ridiculously difficult bee for us to actually make. I think we will try release the encased sniffer here, which I think this should work. This should reduce the amber that it's coated in, hopefully then not roasting it in the process. And I think that is now released there. Just more torch things. Give me a second. Okay, good. Welcome back then, Snot. Well, let's make a start then on trying to craft one of these wannabes. We're going to require a pepto-bismol bee, which requires a neon cuckoo and sugar bag bee to breed. We have the cuckoo already, all we need is the sugar bag, which we should be able to get out from some cocoa beans. I think we'll just let them mature and we'll come back at another point to see if we get any out. A rancher bee is next on the list, which is simple enough to breed out. Yep, nice and simple. We do unfortunately have a raid going on at the moment, which is more irritating than anything actually. Although in saying that, the colony has handled it. Cool. We are also going to require a QB, which requires a rancher bee and a farmer bee to breed, and the farmer bee requires a rancher bee and a lumber bee to breed, all of which will be really easy. Plum's new aquarium is coming along pretty nicely. This is actually quite a big build whenever I see it. We are nearly 3/4 of the way supplied for it, just over halfway done. Yeah, she'll get this up nice and quick here I reckon. Good stuff, Vivian. That's some of the cocoa beans now matured. Let's go through and see if we can get any sugar bag bee out. Yep, there's one right there. Come here, you. So we'll breed that alongside a neon cuckoo, and there is our pepto-bismol bee. Now for the bit that I really don't enjoy doing. We need genes out of these bees in order for us to make the spawn eggs of them. So, in you go, little Pepto-Bismol, and really sorry about this in advance. Yep, we have to crush them down into a bottler, unfortunately, just to get out some squashed bee material. Then with that material, we stick it into a centrifuge, and we get out a whole assortment of genes from it, in which we can then make up the spawn eggs. So we got out a few different gene samples from those of different qualities, which if I then give this a redstone signal, that should combine them together into a 100% sample. Then with that sample, if we combine it with a honey treat, we will get out a honey treated sample, in which we can then combine that with an actual egg, and eventually that will convert the egg into our spawn egg. A ridiculously complicated method just to get out a spawn egg. And we need to do that a few more times here for a few different types of bees. Which sounds mighty boring, so let's go look into doing something else then. Oh, and I see that the sussy bee has turned some of these blocks into suspicious blocks, of which I don't think we're getting anything out from the gravel, nor the sand by the looks of it. Well, if I could see, that is. But if we set them up in a different biome than the one we're in, then I'm sure we would get something else out. But yep, let's move on. The next items on our wannabe spawn egg list are some echo shards and a music disc, which are ancient city items, so we will need to go underground looking for those. Plum's new home is certainly coming together pretty nicely now. I do know of an ancient city, fortunately. Just unfortunately, it is underneath Brian's home. Alrighty then, let's venture further down. I'm starting to hear Skulk, so we must be getting close. Yep, here we go then. Oh, night vision is going to make this so super easy. And I do want to see how Big Boy fares against the Disembodied Ninja. We do have a music disc within this, but I don't know if that's the one we're after or not. In fact, what I should do is just remove all of these chests so that I don't come back to them. And here comes Big Boy. Hello. I am right behind you, by the way. You have 500 HP and 2 hits and you're dead. I love being this overpowered. You can spawn in as many as you would like. I'll just simply take you all out with ease. Inside the chest here we have disc fragments. I think this is maybe what we're after actually. I think if we combine a few of those together, then that will give us the music disc we're after. Yes, indeed they will, but we will need 9 of them in order to make the disc, and we've only found 6 at the moment. And problem solved actually. So now all we're going to require in is 1 more echo shard, which I think is also a drop from a chest, unless that's a drop from one of you guys. And echo shard galore. Perfect. Alrighty then, so that is everything that we're going to require, apart from some more bee spawn eggs for this wannabe, just with exception of 1 more bee type. And that bee type is the hoarder bee that we're going to require, which we can craft by using a collector bee and a shulker shell. And seeing as we haven't yet been to the end, we're going to need to wait on that one, unfortunately. I think that will be an adventure for next time. As for Plum's new home, however, we are now 100% supplied and 97% done. Just a few more coral blocks in and that will be it complete. I think while we wait, we'll go down and visit Dave, who I've been a bit nasty to here, and I have placed down a mob crusher underneath, which is slaughtering all of his offspring, but I needed pink slime out. So sorry, not sorry, Dave. And there we are then, that is Plum's new home, finally complete. So let's get this little devil into it. There you go then, pal, you enjoy your new home. I reckon she'll be quite happy in there.